Hello, today I'm teaching you how to turn your timelines from this all the way into this. It looks super pretty and I'm going to show you how, so let's go.
Hello guys, it's Emily. Today I am going to be showing you how I edit my videos. If you're new to my channel or have never seen my videos are full of cute little graphics, text, animations, green screens, cute transitions. So I'm going to be showing my secrets on how I do all of that for you guys. If you don't know, I do editing professionally. It's my 9-to-5 job, so I just want to teach you guys how to edit cool videos. I have made a little chapter list of everything that I will be going over in this video, so if you guys want to skip around to see some different things or you already know how to do it, just skip to the next chapter and I'll teach you how. So to kick things off, I'm going to be starting off with my essential things that I use to make my videos. Number one, if you can't already tell, I have my MacBook here. This is a MacBook Pro. I bought this back in 2016. I think it's a 13-inch. Along with my MacBook, hard drives. You need hard drives. These are super important. You can store everything on them. This is 1 terabyte. Another big one that I recently started incorporating into my videos is an iPad. This is just an iPad 7. It's my dad's. I actually took it from him because he doesn't use it, and then I just bought myself a little Apple Pencil. This was around $150, and for that I use Procreate, and this is where I make all of my doodles and stuff, which I will be teaching you guys later on in this video. But for the most part, besides like headphones and SD cards and everything like that, these are the basic things that I use to make my videos. Alright, now on to the programs that I use. My main video editor for my videos is Final Cut Pro. I personally like Final Cut Pro. I have been using it ever since I was a child and taught myself how to edit. Other programs that I do use sometimes though are After Effects for like deeper graphic things. I use Photoshop sometimes if I need to put a photo in a video. And sometimes I use Adobe Premiere, but that's like very rare. Sometimes I just need to like use a stabilizer in that. Personally, Final Cut is where my heart is. And then the last application that I use is, once again, Procreate for the iPad, which is the doodles that I will be sharing later on. Alright, so I want to get into file management and how to organize your files, because this is honestly so important and I feel like it is so overlooked when it comes to video editing, especially for newer editors. So we're just going to start off with plugging in my hard drive. So for this video, I'm going to be making a folder with you guys. I know this is so basic, but like this is literally what I learned in first semester of college. I did like broadcasting and television and like video editing and all that stuff, so it came with it. But I'm telling you, I learned how to make folders in my first class, in my editing class, so I'm going to show you it because it's so handy. You can see all of my videos and like which day they were filmed or which day I decided to post them into this folder, and I just label them by the month, day, and year. So these are all of the videos that I've been filming recently, and then we are going to go make a folder. So we're going to go Command-Shift-N, which just makes a new folder, 5, 1, and then 21, and then title of video. Alright, so inside of this folder there are 5 other folders that I like to put in it. So we're going to do Command-Shift-N again, and we're going to start with an audio folder, if I can spell audio right. Next up, we are going to do a project folder. So this is where your project would go. So whether you make it in Final Cut, After Effects, Premiere, that would go in there. And then if you are making it in Premiere or After Effects, they have like a scratch disk. So inside of project, I like to make a scratch disk, but that's personally up to you. I don't personally do this when I use Final Cut, but if I'm using anything besides Final Cut, I make a scratch folder, so all of the backups go in there. Next up, we have a folder for footage, and then we're going to make one for graphics, and then the last one is going to be for exports. So when you export your video, everything's going to go in there. So this is my basic master file folder thing that I learned in school, and I'm using it to this day. Alright, so after you make your master folder, now we are going to go start importing your footage. So you would go to footage and just import everything into here. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to be using a timeline of videos that I already have. So we're going to go to File, New, and then we're going to go to a library. Alright, so then once Final Cut opens this, you're going to go to your title of the video date, and then we're going to put it inside of project, and then you're going to name the project. So this would be project name, just name it whatever, and then click save. So then we're going to start a new project, and then just title it also, once again, the name of your project. So for the video, I always go for 1080p HD. For resolution, you're going to want to do 1920 by 1080, and then for the frame rate, so if you film your video at 2997, which this video is filmed at, I would put it at 2997, or if you're on an iPhone and you do it at 30p, do 30p, or if you're on an iPhone again, do 60p, or whatever frame rate you film your video at, just put it to that. If you don't put it to the right one, sometimes you can have like a drop frame, or if you film a video in like 60p and your like timeline is set to like 24p or 2398, it's gonna like lag behind and you'll notice. So put it to the right frame rate. This is super important. After that, I just leave rendering audio and sample rate stuff at the same, but make sure your audio is like 48 kilohertz. That's what I keep it at. I'm pretty sure that's like the basic audio levels. Anyways, after that, you just click OK. Alright, so now we're just going to go start importing some footage. So I'm just going to bring in a bunch of footage from a vlog. I technically already edited this, but I'll just edit it again for you guys. Alright, so now all the footage is in here. So we are going to start adding in the footage in chronological order, or honestly just whatever way you want to put your video. So this first part of editing, I do it to every single video. This is called a rough cut. You're basically just going to want to take out your ums, ahs, weird long pauses, or just take out things you shouldn't have said in your video. Maybe you said something bad, maybe you swear too much, maybe you said something that was incorrect, maybe it was just super controversial. Take it out while you still can. So like here, I want like a quick little jump cut, so we're just going to zoom in and take this bit out. Alright, so that's our first cut. Here's the thing. When you can start learning to read sound waves, you will be able to look at just purely the sound waves instead of looking at the video, and you can edit through that. Sound waves are so much more easier to edit to versus staring at yourself or reading lips. When a sound wave is like up here, that means you're talking. When it goes down, that means like it's a pause or like you stop talking. So basically, just learn to read that and then just cut there instead of like having to rewatch your video. I don't know, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but over time you will notice like it speeds up your editing process by a little bit. Another thing I want to show you guys is JKL on the keyboard. So let's say you want to like scroll through a video, but you don't want to watch the whole thing. So if you hit L on your keyboard, you can speed it up to double, triple, quadruple the speed. That's super easy if you're editing like very long like commentary videos and you don't want to fully watch the whole thing. Like L goes forwards, J goes backwards. You can watch the video in reverse. Just hit it twice to go double, 3 to go triple, 4 to go quadruple, and then you want to stop it, hit K. K is so easy to stop it. You can just stop it in the middle. So JKL on your keyboard, they're super easy. You'll get used to it. You just like literally just hit them and it makes your life easier. I use it a lot. So now we're just going to go in and fine tune our rough cut and make it pretty. So I'll be back when I do that. Alright, so now your timeline should look something like this, and now I want to teach you guys how to spice up your videos after your final rough cut. So to spice up my videos, I use music, graphics, text, and cute little animation doodles. So first off, I want to start off with music. Music is super important to your video. If you choose to do music, you want to find music that fits the vibe of your video. So for example, if I'm doing a super chill vlog, I probably want some chill, lo-fi, cute little music. But if I started doing like heavy metal rock music, it probably wouldn't make sense with the chill vibes to my video. So royalty-free music and copyright-free music is super important, especially if you want to monetize your videos. My channel is not actually monetized, so I could probably get away with using copyright music, but when it does get monetized in the future, all of those videos will not be able to get monetized because I use copyright music. Some websites that I like to find my copyright-free and royalty-free music from is SoundCloud. If you're using SoundCloud, make sure to DM or contact the artist to see if you can even have permission to use their music, because some of them don't want you to. Another one is if you're already a creator, you can use Thematic. Thematic is pretty good, but I would be careful of it because some people have gotten copyright strikes from their videos, even though the music is technically royalty-free. And another one is YouTube Audio Library. Personally, I hate the YouTube Audio Library. I don't use it, but I know a lot of people that do. And the last one is YouTube channels. Some YouTube channels actually already upload copyright-free music that you can use from them. If you credit them in the description, just make sure in the description box you read everything. They have certain rules you can and can't do with their music, but it's pretty safe to use from what I know. And the last thing with music and audio levels in general, this is so important because so many times I'll get an ad in the middle of the video. It will be super quiet or it will be super loud because the creator's audio levels are so off. When you're editing a video, your audio should be peaking at -12 and nothing over that. If it's peaking over like -6 at the max, majority of the time if you start like screaming in a video, it's gonna hit 0 and that person's ears are gonna like be ripped apart because you're so loud. Sometimes when I watch people, their voices will be so quiet and then all of a sudden their music is blasting. So watch your audio levels, that's honestly so important. Next up is cute little fonts. I find a lot of my fonts on defont.com and then I download them to my MacBook. It's super easy. They have a bunch of free fonts. Some of them you have to pay for, some of them have trials, but for the most part I find all of my free fonts. These are some of my fonts that I love the most. Alright, and now on to green screens. I want to show you guys how I do green screens super quickly because they're honestly so easy and I know a lot of people are kind of curious about them. So on YouTube, you can find a lot of people that already have some royalty-free, copyright-free green screens that you can just download and use for your own. So luckily I already have some. I'm going to go dig mine up for you guys. So I use this one called VHD green screens, and then I just basically drag that into Final Cut and it just imports itself. And then I lower the volume because honestly I just don't want to listen to the music. Anyways, I'm going to scroll through the green screen and find one I like. So this is the one I use a lot and the one beside it. And then once I cut that apart, by the way, if you are tired of using the blade tool on Final Cut, like literally like going to each one and clicking down, you can just do hover over wherever you want to cut, select it and hit Command B. That just splits it in half. It's super easy, way faster than going all the way over here, clicking blade and like cutting each in one individually. So that's just super quick. So we're just going to put it on top of this one, for example, and then we can go delete the rest. So once your green screen is where you want it to be, we're going to head over to this button here. This is where a bunch of installed effects are on Final Cut. And you're going to type in key. Green screens mostly come in green, but they can also come in a blue color. So if you find a blue screen, don't worry, it should work for the most part. And sometimes I've seen like a really like neon yellowish one that mostly works for the most part. But anyways, we are going to grab keyer and we're going to drag this all the way over onto our VHS green screen and then just drop it, and whoa, look at that, the green disappeared. Anyways, that's what the green screen does. It's super easy. And then from there you can also control transforming and stuff, so you can scale it in a bit more. If you don't like it that much, you can move it over just like that. Personally, I just keep it the way it came, so we're just gonna put those back. But yeah, that's green screens for you. They're super easy. Just hit keyer and you're set. Alright, so we know the basics now, but how do we spice it up even more? This is when graphics and cute little doodles come into play. These are my favorite things to do when I edit videos, and I want to show you guys. So we are going to open up Procreate on the iPad. If you don't have Procreate or an iPad, you can honestly just use Photoshop. Photoshop does the exact same job. Alright, so now we are in Procreate. So I'm going to be showing you guys my favorite brushes that I use. So basically when I go to make a doodle, I use a 1920 by 1080 canvas. That's the size of a video. That's the size of the video you are using in Final Cut, if you do it correctly, that is. But for the most part, yeah, stick to 1920 by 1080 and those are your total borders. So don't go outside of them, stay within it, and you should be set. So my favorite brushes to use are under calligraphy, and one of them is monoline, and then the next one is chalk. These are my absolute favorites to use. They're super easy. Oh, okay, let me make it white so you guys can just see it. This is what chalk looks like, and this is what monoline looks like. These are my favorite brushes to use. They're super easy, and yeah. Alright, but how do I make my borders? Well, let me show you. So for the most part, I go into settings, and in Final Cut, I export a frame that I want to put a doodle over just so I can like see how it's going to look. So for example, we're just going to add an image. We're going to insert a photo. This is a screenshot that I took from a video a while ago, and I wanted to add doodles to it. So when the video is here, we're just going to create a new layer to draw on top of. Creating layers is very important. Let's say I want to outline it, so we're going to go into the white pencil and we're going to use the monoline brush, and then we're going to start outlining and making a border for this video so it can go on top of it. So we're going to turn the opacity all the way up first off, and then we're just going to start outlining the border. Personally, I don't care if it's a bit squiggly. I think it adds character to it, but you know, some people hate it, some people love it. It's up to you. It's literally your video. Do whatever you want. Okay, normally I try and make it better, but my hands are so shaky because I've been drinking coffee. Every time like this video cuts, for the most part, I probably took a sip of coffee and my hands are literally like shaking. So try your best on it, but for the most part, I already have a border that looks like this. I'm just remaking it for you guys. Alright, so we have our pretty badly drawn border, but honestly it's not that bad. It adds character. So if you want to make it animated or like doodled, we are going to add another layer, and then you're going to click the N. You're going to turn the opacity down pretty much almost all the way, just enough to see it. And then on layer 3, we're going to kind of outline it, but don't make it too much the same. You want it to be different, but basically just go over your outline. But once again, don't make it the exact same or you're not going to be able to tell that it's animated. Alright, so once your border is done, you're just going to click the N again, bring up the opacity, turn off the layer background. We're going to go to settings and we're going to go share, and then we're going to hit animated PNG. This is making it transparent. And then we're going to go down to 3 or 4 frames per second. Normally I stick around 3, and from what you can tell, look, it's like an animated little border, which is super cute. And then we're going to go ahead and export that. When we export it, I go ahead and airdrop it to my MacBook, and then I save it in a folder called Assets and Frames, and that's how I keep everything stored.
I wanted to time lapse another frame that I made just for you guys, just to show you that you can use different brushes and make different frames. This one is like kind of like a camera setting thing, like inside of a DSLR, and this was inspired by Lynn. I've seen her do it in a lot of videos, but I just wanted to show you guys you can make a ton of cool frames. And yeah, this one's just a normal JPEG.
Alright, so now I want to show you guys how I make these cute little animated text. So basically when I am in Procreate, I just start writing in cursive or just text or whatever I want. I write it on the first layer, so I write out everything. And then after I write that out, I start a second layer and I click the little end thing, and then I bring down the opacity to like almost like maybe like 20-30%, so like you can still kind of see it, but it's not super visible. And then I go ahead and make another layer, which is normally like layer 3, and then I basically just copy and rewrite the exact same text over it, but not like to the T. Once again, you want it to show like that it's different. After that, just like the frame, you're going to want to export it. Keep it around the same frames per second. I normally stick around 3 and 4. Rarely ever do I go to 5. I think that's a bit too fast for my liking. And when you have multiple like animated things on the screen at once, you kind of want them to move in sync and not like too much of a difference, like, you know what I mean? Anyways, after all of that is exported, airdrop it to your Mac or wherever you edit, and then now I'm going to show you guys what I do. So we're going to start off with the moving text. So basically I just go into my graphics folder and I drag it into Final Cut. We want to cover this entire first clip. It's all the way up to 6 seconds long, and this is literally only 20 frames long, so not even a second. But anyways, so we're gonna first off, you can either shrink it down now or you can shrink it down after. Personally, I do it after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. On Mac it's Command C, and then we're going to go to where it ends, Command V, Command V, Command V, just literally however many times you want. You can fill it up all the way here. Personally, I don't. We're going to go up into a file, and then we're going to go new, and then we're going to create a compound clip. This basically takes all of the layers and squishes them into one big layer so you can freely move it around and everything. This is called nesting, and nesting is so helpful, especially if you want to like put transitions and you have so many layers on top of one another, like a huge sandwich, and you want to like circle transition into another clip or a circle transition into something else, or just any transition. Nesting is so useful, so all of the elements go away with the circle when you transition it, instead of just like them randomly popping off the screen at some points. But anyways, we're going to call this intro text. Alright, so see how I meant everything literally goes into the nest. So if you want to go into the nest and edit it, all you have to do is double click. And look, now you're inside of a nest. So basically, just nesting is important. So we know our clip is like 6 to 7 seconds long, and this is only 4 seconds long. So at this point, I just highlight them all, and I just keep copying and pasting. I know the clip is only like 6 seconds long, but it doesn't hurt to go over in case you want to like spread it out more or copy and paste it later. Anyways, I have a random thing in there, so we're just going to delete that. Because we extended everything inside of the nest, we can now extend the rest of the video. If that makes sense. So basically, if the things inside of your nest are only 4 seconds long, but you want to go outside of the nest and drag it up to like maybe like 8 seconds long, you're going to have to extend everything inside the nest so you can move it onto the outside of the nest. It's really confusing, but I swear it makes sense when you actually do it. So now that is all here, but it looks out of like place in the video. So we're going to click it, and we're going to go over here to transform, and we can start scaling it down. And then we can play with the position, we can bring it up a bit, we can center it. Personally, I just click the little box and move it however I please. And there we go. I know this text doesn't make sense with the video, but I just really wanted to show you guys exactly what I just made in the video and show you guys how I do it, so you like things don't change. But now when you play it back, you can see the text is moving. How cute, we love that. But what about the frame we just made? Alright, so it's literally the exact same thing. You just bring in the frame. I don't know where I put the frame, to be quite honest. So once again, the exact same thing, just drag it in. Now you can see this frame doesn't line up exactly the way it did like the other one. This is because it's a completely different clip, different boundaries and everything and aspects, so we can edit that later. Once again though, just copy and paste it as many times as you want. File, new, compound clip. There's also a shortcut. I just personally do file, new, compound clip. We're gonna call this intro frame. Alright, so now we can actually edit this. We're going to click transform, and we can pull up the sides. Keep in mind, the more you transform something, the weirder it's going to get. Like, don't play with it too much. Sometimes like the borders can get like really thin or like really thick, I don't know, but try and make it like as estimated to your size as possible. But this one doesn't hurt too much. So now that looks pretty good. It's surrounding the border of the video, and when you play this back, super cute. I mean, it's lagging a bit because my computer is pretty old and like it literally sounds like a rocket is about to take off right now. But for the most part, if you render it, which you can just go to modify and then you can click render all or render selection, it will render it for you and it will play back at like a normal speed. But for the most part, you can just see, look how cute that is. It adds so much like texture to the video. I like videos with movement. If a video doesn't have movement in it and it's just like a stationary shot the whole time, I get pretty bored and I don't like it. So with my videos, I try to make them as entertaining as possible, whether that be animated text, animated borders, doodles popping up, graphics popping up, sound effects. That's what I try and do for mine. Alright, I taught you guys how to do animated text, I taught you how to do borders, I taught you how to draw them. Now I want to show you masking. Masking is something I do in a lot of my videos and you might not tell, but I'm going to play a clip right now and I'm going to show you guys what I mean. Did you guys like that? It's super cute. So I want to show you exactly how I did it. We are only going to do one of these texts because, not gonna lie, it literally took me like an hour and a half just to do like that 6 or 7 second shot. But I'm just gonna like simplify it for you guys. So this is the shot that I used in the video. It's not color graded or anything. We'll go after that later. We are gonna go add some text. I just personally do custom. You have free will to customize it however you please. We're gonna shrink that down once it decides to load. And then just find a good spot in your video where you want to place it. And then we're just going to type in slice of life. Alright, so see how tiny it is? We can't really read it because it's against a white background and the text is white. Well, change that. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to use a dark brown so you guys can see it. Size it up however big you want it. Alright, so our text is there. Now, when I pull this up, I want the text to appear from underneath it. So how do you do that? Well, let me show you. We're going to go to the side and where effects are, we are going to type in mask. So we're going to take the draw mask tool and we are going to drop it on top of our text, not the video, the text. So from there you have the Bezier tool. This is the draw mask tool. I call it the Bezier tool. I also learned this in school, by the way. So basically we're just going to outline this whole curtain. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you have something like circular or like you need to go around an object, basically you're just going to hold down and drag. And this creates a curve. And from there you can use the little handlebars and move things around if you want. But for this sake, it's super easy. We're just making a full-on square. So just connect the square, and there you go. Everything is set. So this is when you got to learn how to keyframe. Keyframing is super fun. A lot of my videos all consist of keyframing. If you see something cool that I did, it's all keyframing basically. So I click invert mask. Sometimes I do this backwards, not gonna lie, but it works out either way. So we're just gonna click invert mask, and there you go. Now the text is gone. So we're gonna start from the beginning of the shot, and you're gonna turn on your control points keyframe. This little plus here and a little diamond, that's a keyframe. So we're gonna keyframe this to stay here. Then we're gonna zoom in. And we're going to go a bit further up until I start actually moving closer to the text. So you can see the text box and the red box. So we're going to add another keyframe here just to make sure it stays. Okay, so right here, this is where the text is about to be seen. So then I just grab the little toolbars. I just follow the curtain upwards. So from here you can see this is the keyframe and it's following this. And then every couple frames, I start to just drag it up even more. Try and stick straight to where the curtain is or whatever your keyframing is. So now you can see some text starting to show up. And that's perfect. That means you're doing it right. Keep going. Alright, now the text is basically all done. You can see the text is fully showing now. So now when we go back, we can play it from the beginning and we can watch it. And that's how I did it. The text just opens up as the curtain goes up. That's what masking does. It's super easy. Well, in this case, this one was super easy because it was just a straight line. When you start working more with like curves and circles and like different shapes and stuff, and you have to like Bezier it to like someone's body or something, that's a different challenge. But this one was pretty easy to do. And I really like how it turned out. It's so cute. I think it's a very cute intro, but I just want to show you guys how to do masking in case you already didn't know. Alright, so time to do transitions. So whenever you guys see like a circle transition, this is how I normally do it. It's pretty simple, it's literally just a transition, but when you have a lot of layers, it becomes more complicated because things can disappear off the screen sometimes. So basically, we're going to go grab from our intro frame all the way down to our custom background color. So we're going to grab these 4 layers and we are going to make them into a nest. So if you remember, you go File, New, Compound Clip, and we're just going to title this Intro with a couple O's. So now everything is inside of this nest. See how it's now 1 layer versus like 5 other layers. So when you go inside, like I said, everything is in there, which is perfect. Whatever you do to the inside happens to the outside. But anyways, I want to circle transition from this into this clip. I know it's not the cutest transition that you're going to see, but I just want to show you guys the super simple basics. So we're going to go to this little triangle thing here, and this is your transition. So I'm going to do a circle transition. If you do a star wipe, don't do a star wipe. I would literally get fired from my job if I did a star wipe, but I guess on YouTube it's fine. We're going to drag the circle into here. Now, see how it didn't have enough space to like just casually go in and you get a pop-up? There's not enough extra media beyond clip edges to create the transition. Create it anyways, but with that happening, you are going to cut off some of your videos. So some of this video from the side got cut off on the left and the video got cut off on the right. This is really only a problem when you have like speaking clips and it just randomly starts transitioning to like the middle of a sentence or so. It kind of gets weird, but if you ever want to avoid that, just go into your intro and see, this is where it gets cut off. All this grayed out stuff with the checkered lines, this is all happening during the transition. So you can actually fix this by just dragging it out. Like if you're talking in the clip and you need some extra time, drag it out. Make sure to do this to all of them and make sure they're all the same time, or else it's gonna look weird sometimes. And then you're gonna go out of the layer, and now you can shrink down the transition just a bit, and there you go, you have more time to it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Transitions are like kind of difficult sometimes, only when you're dealing with a lot of layers, but when you play it back, you have a cute little circle transition. Look at that. But yeah, anyways, that's how I do transitions with a lot of layers happening all at once. I know transitions are super easy, but if you were to circle transition all of these layers individually, that would look like, that's gonna get super complicated. They're all gonna start opening up at different times and it's just gonna like not look concise and precise, but yeah, that's transitions for you. Alright, so now on to the final look of the video. You want to color grade it. How do you bring up the exposure, change the shadows, add some highlight color to it? Well, let me show you guys. So there is a thing called, right up here, this little triangle. You have a whole little color board, and this is where you can go crazy. So if you want to just do it to one clip, just click the clip and start color grading it, color whatever. But if you want to color like a whole video, this is where adjustment layers come in. These don't come with Final Cut. You have to grab them from online somewhere. Make sure you don't grab a sketchy one that comes with a virus. Find a trustworthy one, but this is called an adjustment layer. So I grab the long one and I just drag it on top. Everything you do to this layer will appear to every single other layer. So like, because it's at the top, everything below it is going to be colored or edited or whatever. So here, let me show you for example. So the adjustment layer, it's called long, but I'm going to call this an adjustment layer, is on top of the intro that we just made. So if I want to scale it up, see how everything goes with it. Whatever I do to the adjustment layer happens to the other clips below it. So keep that in mind. So we are going to go up to the little triangle, and I always start with exposure because personally, that's the most important part of a video. You don't want a dark video, you don't want an overexposed video. So if you want to get technical with this, you can hit Command 7. This brings up a little Luma scope thingy, and this shows you all the colors of your video. So it's kind of hard to read, but basically, if you want to be broadcast safe, your shadow should be hitting 0 and no lower, and your exposure, highlights and stuff should be at 100 and nothing higher. That's broadcast safe, but because you're most likely putting this out on YouTube, you don't really need to listen to that. But personally, I still like to follow it every now and then. So basically, right here is shadow. So you can bring these all the way down just before it hits 0, and your highlights can go all the way up to 100 and nothing above that. This is called broadcast safe. This is what the video would look like. Personally, this isn't my vibe. So we're gonna Command Z that, and for my videos, I like to bring up these shadows a bunch. I like a very pastel, washed out look to my videos. Even though it may not seem like that, I'm going to show you guys how different it can look. And then we're going to bring up the highlights a bit, and you're going to bring up the middle one a bit, the midtones. Alright, so you can tell that already did a good amount. So we're going to go up to color. Personally, I just use the color board. There's color wheels, color curves, hue, and saturation curves. I play around with color wheels a bit, but personally, I just stick to the board. I know the board. I know how to use it. So for mine, I keep my shadows in the blue area. We're going to actually edit this on top of a clip with my face on it. It's just so much more easier to show you guys. Alright, so this is a clip of my face. So once again, I bring these shadows into the blue. You can already tell it's looking pretty blue. So then I bring the midtones, I bring them all the way up into orange. This gives you like a teal tone, orange look, something a lot of cinematographers use. But then because I like the pink vibes to my videos, I bring down, what is this one? I bring down the master and I bring this into the green, and then you can see pinks are coming in. And then because I like even more pink, I bring up pink highlights. And this is normally the vibe I go for with my videos. You can tell this is the before, it's pretty dark and has like a green tint to it. And then when you go to color board and you color grade it and you turn it back on, it's pink. So before, after, before, after, before, after. That's just my vibe and how I like my videos. I know a lot of people do like a green cast to theirs, some do like a more warm tone, some do a cool tone. Personally, color grading is all up to you. That's the most fun part of editing. You can just do it however you want to do it because it's literally your video. But once I find that I like it, normally I just drag it onto every part of the video, unless some things are like this where it's like much darker. I would probably color grade that individually, but for the most part this video kind of stays the same color, or I can get away with using the same color everywhere and it looks pretty fine, just like this. See, that doesn't even look too bad. But personally, just find a good middle of your video and color grade it to that. Ignore this, there is a frame there. But yeah, that is color grading and it's pretty easy to do. So eventually your timeline is going to go from looking like this, super just straight cuts, super easy, nothing too advanced. And then you can turn it into something that looks like this. A bunch of layers, a bunch of text everywhere, backgrounds, music, and sound effects. This video right here is probably one of the things I am most proud of that I've ever done in my life, editing wise. This took me so long. It took me a week, like I said earlier, and it's filled with keyframes, nesting, layering, so many layers, so much music, so much sound effects, and I really did push myself on editing this video. I truly went out of my comfort zone. So eventually your timelines for editing might one day look like this. Literally crazy. Like, look at all of this layering. Like, this is all sound effects, music down here, some borders, some backgrounds. The main part in the middle is all my footage, and then everything up here is all graphics, and everything with like these little dialogue bubbles are all nests. So inside of those nests there's even more layers. So if I didn't nest this video down to the point where it is now, it would probably be so tall. There's so many layers to this video. I'm not joking when I tell you it took me a week to edit this. I am so proud of it. If you want to watch it, it's on my channel. It's called Sweatpants Collection. It's like a 6 or 7 minute long video. It's super short so you guys can get through it, but this was honestly the best thing I've ever done. And like I said, I made a bunch of these green screens. These are all done in Photoshop. This was before I got an iPad to do it all, but anyways, I made all of these little red things that move. Let me show you guys. All of these are keyframed, all of these are doodles. Everything was so complex to this video, but eventually your timelines might look like this if you keep practicing. Practice makes perfect. What do you do when you're done your video? So basically you're just going to export it. You're just going to go up to this little triangle in the corner and you're going to click master file default. This is exporting, and then you're just going to title it whatever. If I have multiple versions of a video or I know I'm going to have to like do some changes, I title it V1. And then if I have to go back and do another change, the next time I export it, I'm going to title it V2 or V3, and the list goes on. Just keep going like V1, V2, V3, V4. That's how I organize it. I used to just title them like final cut, final video. Okay, JK, this is the final export. No, this is actually the final export. And eventually that got so confusing that I didn't know which one was the last one I worked on. So titling them V1, V2, V3 is so helpful. But after that, when you name it, you're going to go to settings and then just make sure it says video and audio. For the video codec, I just export it as an H.264. Basically, it's not as big of a file size to upload to YouTube, and it's easier to save on hard drives because look, this one right now is 1.07 gigabytes. If I were to go to an Apple ProRes 422, it goes from 1 gigabyte all the way up into 7.34 gigabytes. So that's a lot to keep on a hard drive, especially if you're going to be storing all of your videos. So and H.264 basically just compresses the file size, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. That's just what I learned. I think it suppresses the file size, but your quality is still there, from what I know of. That's what I think. Don't count me on that. But anyways, my videos still upload 1080p HD onto YouTube. But after that, you're just going to click next, and it's going to export. Before you export your video though, a really important thing is, can you sit through your video? If you can't sit through your own video without having to go on your phone or do something else or take your mind somewhere else, no one else is going to be able to sit through your video. That's something I've had to learn over the past couple of years, is that if I cannot sit through my own video, I don't expect anyone else to. And that's why before I upload my videos to YouTube, I send them to a friend or two and I get their opinion, see how they enjoy the video, see if they have any improvements for me before I upload it to YouTube. But for sure, make sure you can sit through your own video. One thing I forgot to add, when you are exporting, you also want to rewatch it right after it exports from Final Cut. So rewatch it for any glitches, because sometimes Final Cut does glitch and like your audio may be glitched, or it's like a different like kilohertz and has like popping sound effects. I've been through that before. And then also once you upload it to YouTube, watch it again, because glitches can always happen. So just always double check everything, triple check, doesn't hurt. But yes, that is how I edit my YouTube videos. I hope you guys found that somewhat helpful. I tried to be as helpful as possible and show you guys everything that I do personally. If you guys have any questions, just leave them down below. I will do my best to answer them. Or if you want like a in-depth edit with me video where I take you guys to an editing thing with me, or how I edit my thumbnails, just let me know, because I would be super glad to do it. But once again, thank you for watching. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. I upload every Saturday and all of my social media is linked down below. And yes, that is it. I will see you guys in my next week's video. Bye!